We're going to be looking at Mark chapter 5, and this is quite a long passage, so let's get into it. They went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an evil spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Swear to God that you won't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you evil spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the evil spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons, sitting there dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. Now this is a long story, there's a lot of stuff, so I just want to pick out a few points. And the first point is the effect that being possessed had on this man. And so there's a sense that at some time he must have given himself over to some kind of possession. Like, you can't be possessed unless you're invited in some way or form. And the consequences of that is this guy is crying out and cutting himself with stones. That it's not a good thing, that it's a thing that is hurting him, it's destroying him. And then the fact of his encounter with Jesus is when he sees Jesus, he throws himself at his feet. "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" The demons recognize the presence, the power, and authority of Jesus. They realize that he is more powerful. They realize that they have to go when he comes. And so there's that whole kind of conversation with them, and they're trying to beg him not to go out of the area. And one of the questions for us is, what reaction will a demon-possessed person have to us? Is the Spirit of Jesus living in us so strongly that they will react to that when they see us? Or are we so remarkably looking like the next person that demons can't spot the difference? What about just people that don't follow Jesus? Like, if they look at us, is there a remarked something about us that sets us apart? Not in terms of being better than them or appearing to be holier than thou or anything like that, but is there something different in our lives that makes people go, there's something there that I don't have? Like, when demons see us, how do they react to us? How do they respond to us? The next thing is the part where Jesus sends the demons into the pigs, and there's so many different interpretations of this, and I don't think I've ever really understood it, and I don't know that I've ever really bought the interpretations I've heard. But the one thing I was thinking now as I read this, probably for the first time, is that possibly the one reason Jesus sends these demons into the pigs is just to show the extent of them. Like, 2,000 pigs get drowned by these demons, and all of the demons that inhabited those 2,000 pigs were all in one person. And maybe it's just a contrast thing of Jesus going, that is the extent of what I'm freeing this person from. So it shows the extent of his power, it shows the extent of his forgiveness and grace, but it's a visual thing, and something that the people aren't going to forget quickly. And then the other side of that is that they beg Jesus to leave the area. They see this man, he's dressed and sitting in his right mind, and their response is fear. It's not amazement, it's not like, wow, look what God has done. It's not like, this guy has been rescued. It's like, Jesus, get out of this area, you're affecting us, it's weird, we don't understand it. And maybe there's the element of you affecting us economically. You just destroyed all our pigs. That's like a few good years of bacon down the drain. And it could be any of those things, but it's like such a strange response to God. What is our response when we see God working? What is our response when we see God working in a way that we don't understand? Is it like, whoa, what is this? Or is it, let me create a space for this. Let me look at this. I don't understand this, but it really seems loving. It really seems kind. It really seems peaceful. And often things in church, when things get a bit charismatic maybe, and there's tongues and there's words of prophecy and things we don't necessarily understand, but if the spirit of them, the nature of them seems to be Jesus, like do we spend a bit of time going, okay, God, if this is you, just reveal yourself to me. Let me fully understand this because I wanna believe in you. Or do we get so freaked out because it's different, it's not what we used to, that we say, sorry, no space for this? Because that's the people's response. And then the last one is that the man begs to go with Jesus, and Jesus sends him back to the Decapolis, which, if you look in your little margin, is 10 cities. And so there's a sense that Jesus could have gained an extra follower with this guy, but instead he gains an evangelist. He sends him back to these 10 cities and he says, go and tell them what happened to you. Go and testify of the change that happened in your life. And in a sense, he's not going to have to say anything because he was known by the people as the outcast, as the demon possessed. And it's like, just by pitching up normal with clothes, there's something special here, and it gives an invitation for him to speak about God. And that's often what Jesus' miracles did. They opened a space for an audience, a space to hear about God and to hear about his love and the testimony of him. Are we seeking miracles? Are we doing things that open up space for people to ask questions, for people to be amazed at the work God is doing? Are we involved in social justice in such a way that people go, there's something different here, there's something special. Why are you doing these things? Well, it's because I love Jesus. So it's another cause for us to look at our lives and just examine them and just make sure that we are different, that we are set apart, that we've got something in us that is so amazing that needs to be spread to the rest of the world. Are we telling the stories? Are we living it out in such a way that people have to have some kind of response to us?